You know, Martin Luther once said, "The world does not need a definition of religion as much as it needs a demonstration." That's pretty much the idea here in James 1:27 and the context of the whole book of James. It's a call to put our faith in the gospel into action. It says, "Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this, to look after the orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world." James begins by using words like pure and faultless. Other translations might use words like unblemished or spotless. But whatever the words, James is describing something here for us. So while commonly referred to as a command to care for orphans, James 1:27 is in fact not a command verse. It's a descriptive verse. There's no command language in this verse. Instead, this verse is describing something that is pure and faultless in its application and expression. So there's something pure and cleansing about what James is describing, but not commanding. Let's start with religion. When we think of the word religion, we might think of a variety of things: steeples, churches, rituals, or even being scolded as a kid for taking too many crackers from the communion tray. But the word religion here, in its most distilled down form, refers to an outward expression of faith or a demonstration of something that is inwardly true, namely of who Jesus is and what Jesus does. He is suggesting there is a particular outward expression of the gospel, which is one of the cleanest and purest and most vivid ways that we can participate in. Again, he's not so much commanding us to do something as much as he is inviting us to be something. The kind of people who have been so deeply affected by the gospel within us that it begins to express itself in a pure and vivid way through us. One of those purest and most faultless demonstrations of the gospel is to look after, or maybe better said, care for orphans and widows. Our translation today uses the word look after, which is important to address because sometimes when we look after something or someone, we're able to still maintain a sense of distance between us. Like when I was a kid and my mom would ask me to look after my little brother, I would maintain an awareness of his presence, but I didn't certainly want to get involved with what he was doing. So look after might not be the best way to say it here, or at least to understand it. The language here, however, is maybe best translated to give an intense attention to or to care for. The word calls for this to be our habitual practice and attitude, and not just an isolated act of do-goodism or charity. It's less about what we do periodically and more about what we are doing consistently in our everyday faith. James is suggesting that the gospel is most pure when put on display when we echo that same sentiment with our lives to those who are around us. One of the purest and most faultless demonstrations of that gospel is to move towards orphans and widows. And remember, this is a descriptive verse. I don't believe he's being prescriptive, as if it's orphans and widows only. I believe he is being descriptive. So if we were to say, but James, what about the victims of trafficking or the homeless or the under-resourced in our city or parents who are in crisis or maybe just my struggling neighbor across the street? He would not say to us, no, it's orphans and widows only. Instead, I believe he would say, yes, that is where we go, and those are our people. In essence, he is suggesting that one of the purest and most faultless demonstrations of the gospel is to become the kind of people who move towards hard places and broken people, not away from them. So, who is someone this week that you could be the hands and feet of Jesus for? Or even just a voice of encouragement while they go through their everyday life and everyday faith? How can you put into practice a pure and faultless faith for someone else this week? I, for one, am grateful to be going along with you and the people of Sun Valley as we together figure out how not to just do James 1:27, but to be James 1:27 in the lives of others and those that we love and are serving. If this was helpful in any way, I encourage you to share it with another one.